All right. Thank you for joining us today. Hold on. Hopefully, y'all can hear me. All right. Let's see. All right. Today, I hope you guys are doing pretty good out there. The world is getting uglier and uglier. It's just been a lot of news today. I'm going to start my podcast just back live. I was doing pre recorded stuff, but for whatever reason, this works better for me. So I'll just be doing the lives from now on. So thank you for your patience. So I do want to get into this story. But first, my name is Eileen Nicole. I am your humble host of this podcast, Let's Talk Truth. Let's talk about these hot topics, these trending topics, what's in the news today. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is Kanye West. Kanye West is in the news as always. And so we're going to look at some of the stuff that he's in. So he recently did a interview with Tucker Carlson, but he he was he did the interview because of the backlash that he got from wearing the White Lives Matter t-shirt at Paris Fashion Week. And so we're going to look a little bit into that and see, and we're just going to go over it, and I'm going to give you my opinion and we're going to talk about it. So let's talk about what he's really doing and what he's really up to. So let's go into that. All right.
West, now known as Ye, is one of the best-selling musical artists in the world. He's also in recent years become a celebrated and very highly paid fashion designer. And of course, for a decade, he was well known to TV audiences as an in-law of the Kardashian family. But it's West's latest incarnation as a kind of Christian evangelist that brought us to his office in Los Angeles today for the interview you're about to see. Days ago, during Fashion Week in Paris, West, accompanied by his friend Candace Owens, unveiled a t-shirt that read simply, "White Lives Matter." The response from the fashion industry and international media was instantaneous and uniform: shock, horror, rage. "There is no excuse for this," thundered the New York Times. "West is legitimizing extremism," shrieked Rolling Stone, etc., etc. What was strikingly missing from the coverage, however, was any explanation for why West did this. What was the t-shirt about? No one seemed to think to ask him, much less to listen to what he had to say. Instead, the enemies of his ideas dismissed West, as they have for years, as mentally ill, too crazy to take seriously. "Look away, ignore him. He's a mental patient. There's nothing to see here." But is West crazy? You can judge for yourself as you watch what we're about to show you. He has his own ideas, we can say that. Creative people tend to. That's why they're artists, not actuaries. His free-form social media posts give the impression of a man channeling his rawest emotions right onto Instagram. The effect can be jarring and is often used as ammunition against him in the battle for influence over the minds of America's young people. And that battle...
Now, let me just stop it right there, because I just want to say, first of all, Kanye West does not display the fruits of the Holy Spirit. I don't think that he's a Christian. I don't think that he really is a Christian. He does not display the fruits of the Holy Spirit at all. And so we can just get that argument right there. Second of all, you don't marry a whore and then call yourself a Christian. That's number two. And then number three, this man knows that all he has to do is say something contrary to what the public norm is, so that he can build his brand, build his bag up. That is really the only thing that Kanye West is doing. Kanye West is a very selfish man. He says it. He says that he's the reason that his mother moved to LA and then eventually fell into the fell into, like, basically peer pressure to get plastic surgery. And so this is the reason why she's passed away. If he hadn't moved to LA, then she would still be alive. But here's the thing. Kanye West had a whole black mass on the anniversary date that his mother died, I think, recently. I don't think that he cares not one iota about his mom or about how she died. I don't think he cares about any of that because he still uses it today to make money. As long as he can make money off of it, he can act like he cares all day. But he doesn't actually care. He only cares about what it can do for him. Other than that, it doesn't really serve him any purpose. If you notice, any issue that he takes on, it only is a self-serving purpose. Not that you can't benefit from the purposes that you are passionate about. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that it's only beneficial to him, whilst at the same time spewing that it's for the benefit of the black people that he's speaking up for black people. He's not speaking up for any black person. He's not even speaking up for white people. Because anytime a white person turns on him, it's all the white people are bad. Anytime the black people say something against him, all the black people are bad. So everybody's bad if they're against him, because he's a free thinker and he should be able to do that. Kanye West is not in this big world by himself, but he thinks that he's in this world by himself, and he should be able to do and say and act the way that he wants. He's what I would call a Satanist. He is a true Satanist acting with a Christian veneer. This man is horrible. His behavior is abhorrent. There's no reason why Christians shouldn't be speaking out against him, because he did a Christian concert, which reports were allegedly that he didn't even pay the people for their choir their choir job. He didn't even pay them, allegedly. So what kind of Christian does all of this stuff? There's no fruit that I see. Jesus said, judge them by their fruit. I don't see any fruit here. I see a Christian veneer with a Satanist, a man that does what he wants, says what he wants, thinks how he wants. He does not. The only thing that he puts Christ on is a way to make money and to be able to seemingly be a free man. But you are free in Christ. You're not free all on your own or all alone. So this man is a wolf in sheep's clothing. And let me tell you, the clothing line is tattered and torn. So he wants this is how he wants, it's almost like a mockery of Christianity is what he's doing. Now, the Black Lives Matter t-shirt, in my opinion, well, you know what? I'll wait for my opinion at the end. So let's just finish the rest of this until I can't take it anymore. So let's keep going.
Was intense. But crazy? That was not our conclusion. In fact, we've rarely heard a man speak so honestly and so movingly about what he believes. But again, you can judge for yourself. Here it is.
Have you tried that CBD stuff and it just didn't work for you? Yeah, me too. Hey, I have some THC from Mood right here, the stuff that actually gets you nicely stoned. It's legal in all 50 states, and it ships directly to your door in about 2 business.
So you just came from Paris Fashion Week. You just landed, and the lanyard's still on from it, and there's a photograph on it. What is that?
It's a photograph of a baby's ultrasound.
Why is that? And that you designed that?
Yes.
Why? What does that mean?
It just represents life. I'm pro-life.
Boy, so you wear it on a badge. What kind of response do you get? And good, amen. I agree.
I don't care about people's responses. I care about the fact that there's more Black babies being aborted than born in New York City at this point. That 50% of Black death in America is abortion. So I really don't care about people's responses. I perform for an audience of one, and that's God.
I'm starting to see why they want to make you be quiet.
He's trying to play both sides here, because on one hand, he's talking about he's pro-life, which I agree. I'm pro-life also. But also on the other hand, he says nothing about O Block, which the men there are killing each other at an alarming rate as well. But he doesn't say anything about that. So watch how he moves. He only seems to like attacking women for what they're doing. But let's continue.
When did you start to feel this way? When did you start to realize this?
I really felt like, I think I started to really feel this need to express myself on another level when Trump was running for office, and I liked him.
Yes.
And every single person in Hollywood, from my ex-wife to my mother-in-law to my manager at that time to, you know, my so-called friends / handlers around me, told me, like, if I said that I like Trump, that my career would be over, that my life would be over. They said stuff like people get killed for wearing a hat like that. They threatened my life. They put my life. They basically said that I would be killed for wearing the hat. I had someone call me last night and said anybody wearing a White Lives Matter shirt is going to be greenlit, and that means that they're going to beat them up if they wear it. And I'm like, you know, okay, green light me then. You know, God builds warriors in a different way. I don't know if it's because of me being born in Atlanta and growing up on the south side of Chicago that, you know.
And just to be clear, so the spiritual war is the war between God and Satan and his minions. Okay. Each side actually does have a color. God's side is blue because it's the color of his throne. The color of God's throne is blue sapphire. So it's like a navy blue or a blue color, or the color of the, if you go higher up, the sky is actually a dark blue. But the color that Satan uses is actually green. So this is like a color-coded kind of thing. I don't believe Kanye West. I don't believe nothing that he says. I believe that he is just sitting here playing the game, and he's using God and trying to confuse Christians. And the Bible warns us of this, and it says that the very elect would be fooled if we don't pay attention to what's going on. Just because he has some things that are dear to God, like abortion, not killing babies, he still does not say anything about the murder, the mass murder that Black men are doing. And I'm not trying to demonize Black men, but he doesn't say anything about that. He only says something about what Black women are doing. Now, something should be said about the abortion. I do think that. But you can't just leave it one-sided like that. That's unequally yoked. So if the woman who because we know with the abortion conversation, the majority of the women that are committing abortions or doing abortions are women who are in relationships that are unstable, women who are in relationships who have broken apart, or women who are not financially stable to where they don't feel like they would have the support of the father, whether they are there or not. Or Black femicide, Black men are killing Black women if they find out that they're pregnant or that they have their child. This happened to me in my family. So a man committed a murder, killed my baby sister because he was going to be responsible for their child. So, but he doesn't talk about the prevention of abortion. He's only talking about what Black women should. He's another one of these Kevin Samuels wagging the finger at what Black women should and shouldn't be doing. So let's go ahead and continue because we know that he's going to get into Lizzo. So let's go ahead and
You know, he made me for such a time like this. It's like with David. You know, he tended to the sheep, but while he was out there, he had to fight all kinds of animals. So when it was time for Goliath to come, you thought because he was a sheep herder that he didn't have the skill set to take down Goliath. And the thing that I have is the position, I have my heart, but the number one thing is we have God on our side. And for the people, even if you don't believe in God, God believes in you.
So you made reference to the White Lives Matter T-shirt, which you brought out at Paris Fashion Week.
Yeah.
Why did you do that, and what did it mean?
You know, I do certain things from a feeling. I just channel the energy. It just feels right.
Now, what part of the Bible do you channel energy? What part of the Bible, what part of the Christian God tells you to channel? Please tell me. Do you see what I'm saying? What part of the Christian Bible tells you to channel anything? Oh, my goodness.
It's using a gut instinct, a connection with God, and just brilliance. You know, like as if you asked like Tanya Harding how she did the triple flip or the triple spin, she was in so much practice that when it was time for her to skate in a competitive format, it just happened. Like it happened outside of practice. It happened in the real format, and that's what's happening. Is God is like preparing us for the real battles, and we are in a battle with the media. Like the majority of the media has a godless agenda, and the jokes in that work and this whole like, oh yeah, he's crazy and all these things, they don't work because the media has, you know, they've also watched travesties happen, just even specifically to me, and just watch it and act like it wasn't happening, and they stay quiet about it.
What have they?
So,
what have?
I want to answer the white.
Yeah.
I feel like someone caught what I was saying, the comparison to Tanya Harding about the White Lives Matter. You know, my dad is an educated ex-Black Panther, and he put a text to me today. He said, "White Lives Matter, ha, 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 ha." And I said, I thought the shirt was a funny shirt. I thought the idea of me wearing it was funny. And I said, Dad, why do you think it was funny? He said, just a Black man stating the obvious. Yeah. And, you know, my dad doesn't listen to rap music, and he's like super educated. We opened up a water distribution center in the Dominican Republic together. He's like the original Steve Jobs, but he was getting blocked every which way with all of his ideas. And he didn't have an endless bank account, and he didn't have an Instagram. So all these ideas, he had to like take them back and compress them. Like my dad is the most brilliant person that I know. And we actually have a strained relationship because I was taken from him, because my mom was an actress, so she was a liberal. And my dad would see certain things and say, you know, we should do it this way, we should do it that way. And the people got around my mom and pulled her away, much like, you know, Kim is a Christian, but she has people who want her to go to Interview magazine and put her ass out while she's a 40-something-year-old multi-billionaire with 4 Black children. And this is what...
See, this is what I'm talking about. Kanye, would you... Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Let's just unpack what he just said. First of all, let's talk about his mom. I told you he don't care about his mom. He don't care about that, what happened with his mom, because he has a disdain for his mom, and he kind of like does not like his mom. He said this before about him being taken away from his dad. He said this before. He said that before. But if your dad was so educated, why didn't he fight for you? If your dad was such a stand-up guy, why didn't he fight for joint custody? Why didn't he fight? But see, again, he has a problem with women. Kanye West has a problem with women, and he probably is dealing with some type of sexual identity disorder. He probably is, because he seems to have a problem with women and what they do with their bodies. And listen, I don't believe in abortion. I don't, but it's just like he not only has a problem with the abortion, which I have a problem with too, but he also has a problem with Lizzo, Kim Kardashian. He was dating Amber Rose. Like you're dating these type of women, but you still have a problem with them. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, why would you go and date a woman that goes against everything that you're against, and then complain about it publicly? Have children with them. So now, though your children are biracial, Kanye, they're not black, or they're black and biracial black, but they're not just black. And he makes it seem like they're only one thing, and that which further marginalizes them, because now they don't get to really ingratiate themselves in the other side, whether they're embraced or not. He seems to put them in a box already, just like he's putting women in a box. You are not supposed to be, if these people want to do these things, right? You can pray for them and you can hope that they don't do it, but you can't get with a whore and then wonder why she's out whoring. You can't do that. Now, if she was a wholesome woman and then y'all got to Hollywood and then boom, she became a different person, that's a different thing. But you married her, you knew she had a sex tape. You knew that she was posing nude on magazines. You knew this. You had 4 children with her. I think she had 2 by her, with her body, and then she had 2 surrogate pregnancies. So you have 4 children with this woman, knowing full well who she was inside and out. Because it wasn't just a public persona, you got to know her. As a matter of fact, he pursued her heavy. This man was on her tips. He was on her heavy, and then now he has a problem with her? No, you are the problem, dude. You're the problem. There's no reason why you pursue a woman. I mean, he pursued her for years. And then he broke up with Amber Rose, or cheated on Amber Rose. We heard about all that. He cheated on Amber Rose with Kim. And then there was some text shared, allegedly. All this is alleged because I wasn't there. But at the end of the day, this is what Amber Rose said. And then I believe this is why Amber Rose came out against Christianity, because of Kanye West. But we know he's a fake Christian. And also he goes after women who share their bodies, which, listen, I don't like that argument either, but you're not the one to say it when you're the one promoting it. You're not promoting it. So let's continue on this.
How fashion wants to, how they want to present her. So I know you give these questions, and I give you like these 3-part answers. Is this a cool format for you?
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, cool.
And I am following it.
All right.
So you said that your father said when he saw the shirt "White Lives Matter," it's great to see a black man stating the obvious. So, by which I think you meant that's obviously true.
Yeah, that my favorite response, because I kept on thinking, like, people, they're looking for an explanation, and people say, well, as an artist, you don't have to give an explanation, but as a leader, you do.
Yes, I think that's right.
So the answer to why I wrote "White Lives Matter" on a shirt is because they do. It's the obvious thing.
Yeah.
He has no real answer. It was just a gimmick. That's all it was. That's why he keeps saying that. Clearly, that white lives matter. White lives do matter. Black lives matter. All lives matter. We know. We've been through this. Kanye West is trying to take us back to 2020 all over again. He's trying to get us wrapped up in an emotional roller coaster. No, thank you.
Why do you think that's so? And I assume the implication is, of course, all lives matter because they're lives, because God created them.
Yeah.
Why do you think that would be considered controversial?
To help you book more meetings with less emails,
I showed
he
them,
created the 11 hyper-persuasive sales emails.
They didn't went up on the price. I pay for a bunch of business tools, and YouTube isn't one of them. So,
because the same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black.
But white people are labeled a color also. And they're not complaining about being white. Oh my gosh.
And the vernacular that we're supposed to have. My dad grew up as a military brat, and his family moved around, but they were based mostly in Delaware. And at the time, if they weren't the only black family, they were one of the few. And he would be discriminated against because he was black. So by the time he got into college, he would be discriminated against. He went to a black college, he would be discriminated against because they said he talked too white.
Yes.
And then he played the kick drum in the band. So when he would go to the club and the music was playing, where would he clap his hands? Where the kick drum is.
Yeah.
So it's the opposite of where everyone else was clapping their hands. And this is the most elegant and tasteful person that I know. And when my mom, when the school suggested like the herding systems, because what they do is take the black community and they separate us, and they separate the families, and the educated, they push this, need for higher education, and us as blacks, we discriminate against each other and say, well, I got my PhD and you don't have your PhD, so I'm better than you. And so my mom, she had a PhD, and she was influenced to move to the south side of Chicago and take this job at Chicago State University. And she told my dad, if you come for us, you'll never see him again. Because, the media ridiculed me for getting the house next door to Kim to see my children. And they even said that I was stalking her and her new boyfriend because I bought the house next door to see my children. And that's how I knew that my mom had said that to him. I said, Dad, they moved us to one of the most agreed upon to be one of the most dangerous places in the world. It's almost
okay. So that's a contradiction right there. So if your dad was such a good and great person, you see how he fought for his children, but his dad didn't fight for him. So, but it's his mom's fault though, right? So there's always going to be opposition in a fight when you have a custody battle. But again, you chose this woman, and it doesn't even have to be her. There's lots of custody battles, whether you're rich and famous or not. There's always going to be custody battles. I'm sure there are some things about your parenting style that she does not like. And same thing with you and to her. Some things about her parenting style you don't like or you don't agree with. That's just part of parenting. But you made it a point to be in your children's lives, but your dad didn't. But it's your mom's fault though, right? It's your mom's fault that your dad wasn't ready to do what he needed to do. Because see, your dad was supposed to be the one moving y'all across the city or moving y'all across the town. Or if he decided to go, why didn't she want him to go? Because you say one thing, but women don't just leave men behind, especially fathers of their child, unless something has provoked it. So you telling me he was just your dad was just this perfect father and husband. It was your mom was like, I don't need no man. I'm gonna go to Chicago and do me. That's what I'm finna do. Is that what she did? Like that's the picture of his mom that he's painting right now. Right? Like right in front of us.
Almost like they tried to kill me or something. I said, Dad, why'd you never come to get us? And that's when he told me that she was told that. There's so many things that are...
Listen, it's funny how you can tell a man one thing, allegedly. You can be told one thing allegedly to stay away from your kids, and the men will listen to that. But let anything else. They're not finna do nothing else you tell them to do. Not nothing. But that one thing, stay away from your kids. Oh, they listen. That is an order that they listen to. Ain't that crazy?
They're put in Kim's head. They bring influencers. Like, no one ever knew where Corey Gamble came from. No one in the fashion world knows where Gabby came from. These people were practically made in a laboratory, in my opinion. And one of the things that they're really good at doing is being nice and being likable. And what they do is for people that have some form of influence, whether it's an educated Black woman like my mother that became the head of the English department at Chicago State University, or whether it's the most influential white woman on the planet, being my ex-wife, they have people that are around them at all times telling them what to be afraid of. It's like not what to do or say specifically, it's what to be afraid of. And if you have a person that isn't afraid of them, you know, like a Russell Brand or Candace Owens,
right.
it's not that we have to agree with this, but
they're not afraid.
They're not afraid to state what their opinion is.
Yes.
No one is God. And everyone has an opinion.
Like this is a window into a world that you don't see. So if you're familiar with West from the media, you think of him as an individual man. What you don't think about is that he is at the center of a battle, and people like him are at the center of a battle to get a message out, mouthed by the lips of influencers like him and so many others, that extends a storyline on behalf of, well, in this case, the status quo. So there are a lot of people vying to make certain that people like him say the right things, and the consequences for not doing that are very severe. So for him to come out and say all lives matter, obviously, is a huge threat to a lot of people. Who are those people exactly?
He said white lives matter, but did you catch that? Did you catch that? He said white lives matter, but he said all lives matter. The shirt
Well, we
said
asked him, and he told us. That's next. So,
okay. Well, that's the end of that video. But at the end of the day, Kanye West is so full of it. The only thing that I can take away from that is that he only did it for attention, and this is why he couldn't go deeper than white lives do matter. The reason why is because there is no breadth to what he did. There was no reason other than, oh, well, let me just find a way to promote what I'm doing right now, and let's get a rise out of them. And not only that, it was a way to stick it to a black woman, because we know that Patrisse Cullors, well, rightfully so, she put herself in position to be attacked like that. But he was attacking a black woman, Patrisse Cullors, and Black Lives Matter, because he loves attacking women, and he loves attacking Black women. Now, Candace Owens is just somebody that he can use so that he doesn't seem like such a jerk, but he's a real big jerk. And Kanye West, you're not fooling. You can fool some people, and you can get some people riled up. But at the end of the day, you're not a Christian. You're a fake Christian, and you only did this so that you can sell some of your merch and to take a dig out of a black woman while you're doing it. I mean, kill a couple of birds with one stone. So that's the end of that. Now, let's get to the next story, which is Katt Williams. Katt Williams was trending on Twitter. Katt Williams is trending on Twitter. And the reason why is because he is, let me see. The reason why is because he, a producer named Madlib posted a video, a picture up of a group of men, and Dave Chappelle's in the picture, and also Katt Williams, but the person did not know that this was Katt Williams. Ain't that crazy? He didn't know. So let's look at the picture he posted. This is a picture that he posted. And he said, bro in the front. Bro in the front has the craziest pose ever. Katt Williams is very well known in the Black community. I don't know how this producer did not know who he was, but apparently somehow, some way, he is the only person on the planet that does not know. As you can see, it says, Lord, honey, I'm a middle-aged white woman. And even I know that's Katt Williams. That's him right here. And that's, excuse me, that's Dave Chappelle. But yeah, so at the end of the day, he was, here's the full photo. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that's the full photo of Katt. And he is looking a whole mess, but he is looking so cool. I love Katt Williams. He's like one of my favorite comedians. I think I like him. And number 2 for me would be the guy that wrote for Richard Pryor. I forgot his name, but he's older. But he would be number 2. Dang, I forgot. That's gonna bother me. I don't know his name. Dang, what is his name? Yeah, Paul Mooney. Paul Mooney would probably be my second one. My second fave, and then Eddie Murphy probably would be number 3. And because I loved him back in the 90s. Eddie Murphy in the 90s, like you cannot. George Carlin, he's another one. I wasn't really a big Richard Pryor fan, actually. I've watched some of his stuff, and he's kind of funny. I just, you know how some people connect with you and some people don't? Well, I didn't really connect with Richard Pryor. Even though I remember when I was a little girl, though, I watched the movie The Toy. I used to love watching that movie over and over again. It used to come on cable. But people drag this they dragged this man for not knowing that this was Katt Williams. They dragged him. But at the end of the day, not everybody's going to know who you are. As big as Katt Williams is, though, too, he was, as big as he was or is, he is not known to everybody, apparently. So Katt Williams right now is currently on tour. It's called the 2023 and Me Tour. I think it's going to be kicking off. Well, he just got off tour, but he is also going to be starting it back up later this month. So I think on the 14th is his new start date for the 2023 and Me Tour. The last tour he was on was called World War III, I think. But yeah, so shout out to Katt Williams. I remember he went on that radio show and was talking crazy to that woman, but that woman kind of had it coming, though, because she was acting funny with Katt Williams, because that's when Tiffany Haddish with her weirdo ass was trending, because she was in Girls Trip, which I never seen that movie. I don't think she's funny at all. And the woman was trying to come for Katt, and I believe I have that. I don't know if I have that. No. Yeah, I don't have it, but I did, but for whatever reason, it's not playing right. All right, now let's move on to this next story, which is the war in Ukraine. Now, the war in Ukraine is something serious because the American Joe and Jane taxpayer are the ones paying for this war. So it behooves us to understand what is going on, what it's going to take, because the U.S. has clearly taken a side, and we are going to need to know what this means for us and how this is going to affect us as Americans, especially as Black Americans, because War is not kind to people who are already in a situation where we can't take a financial hit. So let's get into this. So the U.S. has taken a side, right? According to NATO, the U.S. has taken a side. They've given money. We know that they've given billions of dollars. I'm not sure how much has gone to so far. $2.98 billion in aid to Ukraine. Now that's just on the books. It says that the United States has. Let's go on here really quick. Now this is defense.gov. The United States has committed approximately to $5.3 billion in security assistance to Ukraine since the beginning of the Biden administration, including approximately $4.6 billion since the beginning of Russia's unprovoked invasion on February 24th. On June 1st, the Department of Defense announced the authorization of a presidential drawdown of security assistance valued at up to $700 million, tailored to meet critical Ukrainian needs for today's fight. This authorization is the 11th drawdown of equipment from the DoD's inventories for Ukraine since August of 2021. United States security assistance committed to Ukraine includes over 1,400 Stinger anti-aircraft systems, over 6,500 Javelin anti-armor systems, over 20,000 other anti-armor systems, over 700 Switchblade tactical unmanned aerial systems. These are all the things that the U.S. is providing. And so, our defense contractors, Lockheed Martin, they're making bank off this money. If you are in the stock market, you would want to be purchasing stocks into weapons manufacturers like Lockheed Martin. So the U.S. is pouring money into Ukraine because they think it's important to support this war. Now, I'm not sure what the U.S. gets out of it in particular because I'm still researching this. But what I do know is that they want the Ukraine to win this war. Now, mind you, China is Russia's ally. They're their biggest ally, and they are a superpower all by themselves. And also, they have a lot of land here in the U.S. So I'm trying to figure out what the U.S.'s real angle is because, parapolitics is what the U.S. does sometimes like this. And you'll know about on the book stuff and off the book stuff. I'm sure that there may be allegedly some off the books money going to the Ukraine, off the books weapons going to the Ukraine so that they can win because they do have some things to their advantage. Now, I looked up what would the Ukraine need to win this war. So according to the New York Times, Russia controls roughly about 20% of its territory. That's a critical mass of land. So Russia controls about 20% of the Ukrainian country. That's double the critical mass. So they already have a grip on Ukraine. The Ukraine has a disparity in air power. Okay, so Russia has 1,500 airships, airplanes, fighter jets, and the Ukraine only has 100. Not even 10%. So this is what I'm saying. There might be some off the book stuff. I can't prove that. So this is all alleged, but wait till you hear about some of the other stuff that's going on here. So Russia conducts 100 to 200 sorties or attacks on a daily basis. Ukraine is only 10 to 20. So if they're on. So you see how outnumbered the Ukraine is? So I don't understand how they're sustaining this war at that rate. The Ukraine is unable to provide ground support to their troops for fear of losing its small aircraft inventory. Now, granted, the Russian air forces are facing the same issue. They are. They're facing the same issue where they're not feeding their people. They're not getting clothing. They're not getting shoes. When you're at war, you have to keep your body together so that you can be alert. When you're out there, you're seeing a lot of death. When you're out there under pressure, under duress, you have to make quick decisions. It's important to have all the things that you need so that you're confident in making those decisions, even when you're taking orders. So both sides, war is just not pretty at all. Russians have adapted to the Ukraine's war drone strategy, and the Ukraine has paid a heavy price. They have lost a lot of people in this war already. A lot of civilians are taking the hit because of Ukraine not having everything it needs to fight back. So the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said that the U.S. is waging a proxy war. So he has, and this is Putin's right-hand aide. He has come out publicly and said that the U.S. is basically instigating this war by taking the side of the Ukrainians, and this is a public act. And NATO, which is the North American, let me see, it's the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or the North Atlantic Alliance. It's an intergovernmental military alliance between 30 member states and 28 European and 2 North American. So basically they joined. NATO is like this is why the U.S. has a big military, because of NATO. They're part of NATO. And so NATO, so he's saying that because you guys are with NATO and you're siding with Ukraine, this now is a proxy war. But in my opinion, they're funding both sides of this war, because they put some sanctions on Russia, but they still have, I believe, let me see. Right. So basically, Russia is still sending stuff over here. So they're still shipping stuff to us. So the U.S. isn't going out there, but anything coming from from Russia and the Ukraine, the U.S. is still accepting it. So you see right there, they're still doing what they need to do. So let's see here. The LA Times says, despite extensive sanctions on Moscow, plenty of Russian goods continue to enter the U.S. legally, with more than $1 billion a month. Do you think that that's not? If it's $1 billion a month and they gave $5.6 billion to Ukraine, you don't think they're getting that money back? But somehow, some way, they're charging the U.S. taxpayer money because of this war, even though they're not necessarily losing, because they're all on top of them taxing Russia. They're also getting $1 billion a month in goods and services. So you see how, in my opinion, they're funding both sides of the war inadvertently. Also, so we're talking about what it's going to take for the Ukrainians to win the war. The final outcome will have consequences far beyond Europe. This is what they're reporting in in Economist and in New York Times and Washington Post. This war is going to, because these are against other first world countries. It'd be different if it was from a third world country, because the imports aren't as much as it would be from a first world country. But what they're saying is that this is going to have consequences, and it's not just about the goods and the services that are being, curtailed a little bit. It's China. China is watching the West as it wages war on Taiwan. Now, they have not officially declared war, but China is looking to go to war. Like just today, the Taiwanese government president said, "We don't want to go to war. War is out of the question," is what was said. And if I was her, I wouldn't want to go to war either. War isn't something that I would be up for, because innocent people get killed. Everyday men and women and children they're not girded up for war. They're not, about to take guns. And most countries aren't like the U.S. A lot of people in the U.S. are actually ready for war. They have guns. They've been shooting. They've been hunting. They've been doing all these things. Most countries aren't like that. And I'm not saying they bring the war to the U.S. So we don't want the war here. We're good. But at the end of the day, when they check the temperature of the country, this is why they're trying to constantly tell you that you can't have this gun and you can't have that gun, because they need to know what they're up against if there is a war. And this is why people won't invade the U.S., because they understand that most of the civilians in America, it's perfectly legal to have a gun, especially in the West. I'm in Arizona, and it's no problem to get a gun here. You don't even have to have a registered gun here in Arizona, and it's legal. You just, if you get caught with it and it have some bodies on it or some type of, you illegally fired the firearm in an open space or something like that on the gun, then you could be held liable for it. But other than that, if it's a clean gun, if you go to a gun show or if you go to a gun shop, now a gun shop's going to do a check, a background check. But if you go to like a gun show, they don't do background checks typically. So to win the war in the Ukraine, who is outmatched, they need stronger help from the outside forces. So they need NATO to step in, is basically what they're saying. And China is looking to see if NATO is going to step in. Because again, Russia and China are their allies. And let's see. So China's military alliances are Pakistan, and we already know that they are with the shits. 8-nation alliance. So there's an 8-nation alliance as I wonder if this is still, nope, this is not going. This is not. It says that China has only one formal ally, and that's North Korea. But we know they always, look, North Korea, that's all they do is prepare for war. That's like the new Sparta. North Korea, I liken that to the new Sparta. So China is on the come up of trying to come up with their own military alliance similar to what NATO is. But again, NATO is like 30 different, let's see. Member states and 28 European and 2 North American. That's a lot of military powder. A lot. And I think this is why China is moving very slow and strategic. They have one official military alliance, which is North Korea. And it's crazy because China is so big. You would think that Japan and maybe not Taiwan, but you would think Japan, Cambodia, all of them would at least be able to call in, the rank and file if need be, but apparently not. Yeah. So China is on the come up because they want to make sure that they are watching, because they're going to go to war with Taiwan. Now they're trying to do what Russia is doing to Ukraine. Russia is trying to gain more power, because when you're not gaining power, you'll lose it eventually, because that's just how countries work. You have to continuously either maintain a very powerful position, or continue to grow and get more powerful, even if it's slow. Other nations are looking at to see who's powerful, who's growing, who's not growing. And if you are not growing, you will be up for attack. People will look at you as weak, and they will come in and attack. Now, what does this mean for Americans? So both the energy and food markets are highly impacted to the U.S. This is why gas prices are going up. This is why electricity is going up. This is why the water bills are going up, because water and electricity go together. And this is in the food markets, the food shortage, because they put sanctions on Russia, but also this affects the people that the other third world country. It affects like the world, because they're a first world superpower connected to China. So it affects all the first worlds. This is why they're calling this. This might be World War III. I don't know what this is, but what I do know is that we do need to prepare for the things that are being impacted. Energy, food, is causing inflation all over the U.S. And this is not. Listen, as long as this war is going, we need to continue to prepare. There is no time where we shouldn't be prepared. And even if you're not prepared right now, if you don't have an emergency stash of food and candles and all this stuff, you need to start now. Go ahead and start now, even if you don't have it. Take you $5. Try to do $5 a week. That's $20 a month, and try to get candles, matches, canned goods, real cheap stuff, stuff that will sustain you, like war rations, stuff like that. You want to make sure that you get those types of things. It doesn't have to be fancy food. You're thinking way too big. You don't need fancy food to survive. That's a luxury. You can either get stuff that you can survive on out in the wilderness, and you don't want that stuff to be luxury. You want to be able to carry that kind of stuff around. So start getting you I think there was, they put out, the Department of, I think, Homeland Security put out an emergency preparedness pack. Let's see, plan ahead for disaster. So I was on this, I did a podcast about, because the weather's severe. The weather is going to be severe everywhere. There's going to be some more hurricanes coming, and they're going to be just as severe as Hurricane Ian, because the weather has been severe everywhere. It's been severe cold. It's been severe heat, and it's going to be severe winds. So if you are in a place where there's a lot, like I'm in Arizona, and it's not even, I think the most that we get is the huboobs, which is the sandstorms. They're severe sandstorms, but that's not even been the problem. The problem is the heat waves. The heat wave killed so many people this summer that it's crazy. So if we're getting a heat wave in Arizona, Lord knows we don't need no heat. We don't need it, but we got it anyway, and a lot of people died. And people normally die in the summer here because of the heat, and they're out in the elements like that. The heat literally drains you. And they say it's a dry heat. The reason why is because it bleeds you dry of your natural water. You sweat it out, and so you become dry, and you are thirsty. So it's a horrible type of thing to deal with. And especially if you're out there in the elements, sleeping out there all day. As an Arizona and a native, you need to be in and out these buildings where it's some cool, and you need to keep you some water. it's illegal here in Arizona for a restaurant not to give you some water because people die. I think that might be nationwide, but especially here. But let's see here. You can download the FEMA app. Now, this FEMA app, I don't know, people be, but it does keep you, but you still got it on your phone anyway, because they give you that, when you get the National Weather report, because we get severe thunderstorm warnings or Amber Alert, stuff like that. That's FEMA. So, you still have it anyway, whether you have it downloaded or not. So you might as well download it and control it a little bit more. And let me see. But there is preparedness packages that you can, let me see. That you should have, that they recommend that you have. Emergency preparedness pack checklist. Let me see. Build a kit. A disaster kit. So let's look at this. All right, so the basic disaster supplies kit. To assemble your kit, store items in airtight plastic bags and put your entire disaster supplies kit in 1 or 2 easy-to-carry containers, such as plastic bins or a duffel bag. A basic emergency supply kit can include the following recommended tips. Water, 1 gallon per person per day for several days for drinking and sanitation. Now, you know that if you just get 1 gallon a week, you can start stashing this away. By the time when Christmas come, you'll have several gallons for each person. This is outside of the water that you buy to drink every day. And we already know that Flint and Jacksonville are suffering a water crisis. So don't act like this can't happen to you. Now, food, at least a several day supply of non-perishable food. Again, canned goods would be the first place to start. You don't really want to get freezer food. You can, but I wouldn't start there. I would go ahead and start with canned foods, because then you can vacuum pack that later, but canned foods. Battery powered or hand crank radio and a NOAA weather radio with tone alert. A flashlight, a first aid kit, extra batteries, a whistle to signal for help, a dust mask to help filter contaminated air, plastic sheeting and duct tape to shelter in place. So if you're on the go, they're saying you need to have a sheet so you can keep yourself from the elements. Moist towelettes, garbage bags, and plastic ties for personal sanitation. Wrench or pliers to turn off utilities. Manual can opener for food. I told you. Local maps. And you need to learn how to read a local map. It's not really that hard. If you use Google Navigator or Apple Maps, it's basically the same thing. Or if you traveled and used a map before, it should be fine. But it's not really that hard to read a map. And also a cell phone with chargers and a backup battery. So what I would do is you can go to Walmart and you can go to the back into the electronics department and get you 2 good backup batteries. Okay. But between now and December, you should try to get all this stuff by the end of December. But by December 31st, if you do not have all this stuff, try to go and get 2 backup batteries and have them on charge. Make sure they're charged up once a week, just to make sure that you already have backup battery, because you would be surprised how fast your cell phone goes in a case of emergency, because you calling people and you getting alerts on your phone. You know, there's a lot of things going on, so your battery is going to go dead. So 2 backup batteries I would recommend. So since spring of 2020, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has recommended people include additional items in their kits to help prevent the spread of coronavirus and other viruses and the flu. Consider adding the following items to your emergency supply kit based on your individual needs. So masks and for everyone ages 2 and above, soap, hand sanitizer, disinfecting wipes to disinfect surfaces, prescription medications. About half of all Americans take a prescription medicine every day. Ain't that crazy? An emergency can make it difficult for them to refill their prescription or to find an open pharmacy. Organize and protect your prescriptions, over-the-counter drugs, and vitamins to prepare for an emergency. Now, one thing that you can do is if you do take prescription drugs, get with your benefit advisor with your benefits. If you have Medicare, Medicaid, or if you have insurance through your job, see if you can get a 6-month supply, because usually if it's not like an opioid or something like that, you can usually order a 6-month supply at a time. That way, if something does happen, you at least, like, because if you have like diabetic medicine or high blood pressure, stuff like that, just see if you can get a 6-month supply, because then that way you're already ready to go. Non-prescription medications such as pain relievers, anti-diarrhea medication, because you can drink the wrong water if you're out there and you don't have good water and you can get diarrhea. And if you don't have something to combat this, you could get even sicker. Antacids and or laxatives, prescription eyeglasses and contact lens solution, infant formula, bottles, diapers, wipes, and diaper rash cream, pet food and water, and extra water for your pet. Cash, you see this? They're telling you you're going to need cash or traveler's checks. Important family documents such as copies of insurance policies, identification, and bank account records saved electronically or in a waterproof portable container. A sleeping bag or warm blanket for each person. Complete change of clothing appropriate for your climate and sturdy shoes. A fire extinguisher, matches in a waterproof container, feminine supplies and personal hygiene items, mess kits, paper cups, plates, paper towels, and plastic utensils, paper and pencil, books, games, puzzle, and other activities for children, non-electronic, because you're not going to be able to use your phone. Something for them to read to take their mind off of what's going on if you have to book it and leave your home. Kit storage locations. Since you do not know where you will be when an emergency occurs, prepare supplies for home, work, and cars. So put one in your home, keep this kit in a designated place, and have it ready in case you have to leave your home quickly. Work. Be prepared to shelter at work for at least 24 hours. Your work should include food, water, and other necessities like medicines. Or in your car in case you are stranded. Keep a kit of emergency supplies in your car. After assembling your kit, remember to maintain it so it's ready when needed. Keep canned food in a cool, dry place. Store box food in tightly closed plastic or metal containers. Replace expired items as needed. Rethink your needs every year and update your kit as your family needs change. All right, so that is the emergency preparedness kit. You need to make sure that you at least start with this basic stuff right here, which shouldn't be so bad because you should probably already have some of this stuff. So just I would maybe double up and then start down here. Right? So everybody should probably already have masks. But if you I know that right now the economy is taking a hit, but one thing that you can't do is not prepare at least some type of kit, especially with these natural disasters that are happening. So you want to at least be as prepared as you possibly can. That would be great. Thank you. All right. So the last thing that I wanted to go over is what's been going on in yep, that one. And give me 1 second, y'all. All right, that. All right, so let's go into this story here. So I just want to talk a little bit about the growing crisis, the unspoken truth about what's really going on. We have a bunch of things going on in this country, and these are legitimate, what I call legitimate distractions. And a legitimate distraction is something that really is a threat to your life or the lives of other human beings on the planet. However, it's only used so that you don't see the bigger threat in front of you. So what that is in my opinion, sex trafficking, because it's part of the human trafficking epidemic. It is not a pandemic, it's an epidemic at this point. Now, we're going to go there. This is polarisproject.org. Let's just read over their definition of sex trafficking. Sex trafficking is not something you can see happening across a crowded room. It is not a crime that occurs in an instant, like a kidnapping or a carjacking, that a bystander can witness and report. In fact, many people in active sex trafficking situations do not recognize themselves as being victims because they have been expertly groomed by a trafficker to believe they have chosen to participate in commercial sex. Understanding how sex trafficking really works can help families and communities to recognize vulnerable people before they become victims and provide survivors with the support they need to break free, heal, and move on with their lives. Okay? All commercial sex is human trafficking. People in active trafficking situations always want help getting out. These are all myths. Only women and girls can be victims and survivors of sex trafficking. Let's look at some of the red flags. They want to stop participating in, selling, or trading sex, but feel scared or unable to leave. They disclose that they were reluctant to engage in selling sex, but that someone pressured them into it. They live where they work or are transported by guards between home and workplace. There are children who live with or are supported by or dependent on a family member with a substance abuse problem or who is abusive in other ways. They have a pimp or manager in the sex trade. They work in an industry where it may be common to be pressured into performing sex acts for money, such as a strip club, illicit cantina, a go-go bar, or illicit massage businesses. They have an older or simply controlling parent, guardian, romantic partner, or sponsor who will not allow you to meet or speak with the person alone or monitors their movements, spending, and or communications. All right, so let's go into this story, okay? Now, this story is about a senator The Justice Department's sex trafficking investigation into Matt Gaetz seems stalled, attorney says. The sex crimes probe federal officials launched against Gaetz has been hampered by one major issue, experts say, the perceived credibility of key witnesses. Now, this is the main way that sex traffickers and people who put other individuals into a sexual oppressive state, they attack the character of the victim, so that the victim is not believed. But let's read into the story. Hold on just a second. Fair use.
Huge undertaking. I think we're alive.
We are watching a potentially big development now in the years-long sex trafficking investigation into Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz. The Washington Post reporting Gaetz does not seem likely to be charged with any crimes tied to the investigation of his alleged involvement with a 17-year-old girl, because career prosecutors are telling the DOJ not to. They're citing credibility issues, they say, with two central witnesses, the then 17-year-old and a former friend of Gaetz, Joel Greenberg. People familiar tell the Washington Post. Both Gaetz' lawyer and the DOJ declined to comment to the paper. I want to bring in NBC News Justice correspondent Ken Delanian. Again, this is a story. This is an investigation that I know that you and our team have been covering for years. And it feels like a significant recommendation since typically the DOJ, right, doesn't go against what its prosecutors are telling them.
Yeah, that's right, Hallie. They almost never do. And of course, as the Post pointed out, some things could change. They could get new information, but this is a pretty big deal. And just to expand on what you were saying, what the Post is reporting, and we're seeking to confirm at NBC News, we have not yet, is that prosecutors were concerned with the credibility of both of the key witnesses, and the story does not explain what their concerns were with the woman in the case, who was 17 at the time. They believe that she met Gates, but there's some details about Joel Greenberg, who is a longtime friend of Gates and has now pleaded guilty to a host of crimes and was going to testify against him. One of the things Greenberg admitted to was accusing his political opponent of sexual misconduct. And so the thought was, well, that's a little bit uncomfortably close to what he's saying about Gates, and would a jury believe him? So I'm sure it was a really difficult call for these prosecutors who spent a long time and a lot of resources investigating this case. The Post also reported about 10 days ago that Gates had requested a pardon from then President Donald Trump in the waning days of the administration on this very investigation. So clearly he was very concerned about it, but now it does look like he's in the clear, at least legally, on this one, Hallie.
I like to smell my beard after a really good meal.
Okay, so you heard that. Matt Gaetz he's an attorney, but he's also a politician. He is a U.S. representative for Florida's 1st Congress district. I believe he is he's serving his 3rd term in the U.S. House of Representatives. So this guy is crazy. So he's a far right, probably a radical man. But yeah, so he is probably not going to be charged in this sex trafficking. This is what he was. The career prosecutors recommend no charges for Gates. Oh my gosh, the Washington Post gets on my nerves. He's not going to be charged, basically. So let's go to this next story, because this is what is this doing?
Buying your new car online couldn't be easier when you shop the Express Store from Moran Chevrolet. The Express Store lets you search our inventory or configure your dream car. MoranExpress.com from Moran Chevrolet, where you always get the best price, period.
Okay, so apparently this is stupid. It was planned, but I guess it's not planned now. So the last story that I wanted to talk to y'all about is about a Louisiana man sentenced to 25 years for a role that he played in a nationwide sex trafficking ring. So let's look at this here. So this was articles written on the 9th, October 9th, 2022. New Orleans, Louisiana. A Louisiana man was sentenced to 25 years in prison on Friday, October 7th, for his role in a nationwide sex trafficking enterprise that involved in incapacitating and stealing from the victims. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office, Eastern District of Louisiana, Randy Jonal Shink, 41, a resident of New Orleans, Louisiana, and Downey, California, was sentenced after pleading guilty to counts 1 and 7 of a pending indictment, charging him with the interstate transportation and use of an interstate facility with intent to carry an unlawful activity. He was sentenced to 5 years on count 1 and 20 years on count 7. The sentence will run consecutively. So he's going to be facing 25 years. I think that is good. The thing is that you normally when these cases happen, sex trafficking cases, it's usually a slap on the wrist. They constantly get out over and over again. Like if you go on, let me see, on Twitter, I can show you something really quick. I'm sorry, I have a cold. I guess I woke up with a cold because I wasn't feeling like this yesterday. So let's read the rest of this, and then we can go into what I wanted to show you after this. So 25 years is good. I really like that he is getting all this time now. I hope and pray that he serves every bit of his term. Now let's read further. The Department of Justice's press release said that in early 2013, Shink met Dominique Berry in New Orleans, and they developed a romantic relationship. Shink later encouraged Berry to engage in prostitution with individuals in New Orleans. He was involved with the scheduling, coordination, and the facilitation of Berry's commercial sex acts from 2014 to 2017. Shink and Berry traveled through California, Louisiana, New Mexico, Texas, Arizona, Tennessee, and Georgia, engaging in their prostitution enterprise. The press release said around 2015, the prostitution enterprise evolved to include a scheme to steal as Shink caused Berry to spike the men's drinks, rendering them unconscious. Berry then took items of value from the men, including jewelry, guns, cash, and credit cards. Shink and Berry then used the items for their benefit. Shink and Berry implemented this scheme numerous times throughout the U.S. In sentencing, it was found that Shink used force, threats, fraud, and coercion in recruiting Berry to work for him and to keep her compliant and under his control. It was also heard in court that Shink committed numerous acts of violence against Berry and her family, particularly after she tried to leave his control or disobey his instructions. One of those instances resulted in Berry's hospitalization. So in February 2017, Shink dropped Berry off at the apartment of a Metairie individual that the press release names as S.A. Shink directed Berry to give S.A. various substances to make him incapacitated. Berry then stole his debit card, according to the press release. Shink picked up Berry and then used the debit card at a Walmart in New Orleans. The following day, S.A. was found dead in his apartment. Wow. Lafayette man pleads guilty to using Grindr to target gay men for violent crimes. That's a sadist right there. The law enforcement agencies and private entities involved in the investigation include, this is what I wanted to show you, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, so the FBI, the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Offices, the Tucson Police Department, Salt River Police Department, the Sandy Springs Police Department, the Cobb County Police Department, the Sacramento Police Department, and the Talking Stick Casino, that's a Native American casino out here. They are all working together, tired of this bullshit. They're tired of the international travel and trafficking of humans, because it's sex trafficking, it's human trafficking or it's all human trafficking, but it's sex trafficking, labor trafficking, and also organ harvesting. Okay, that's the whole Jeffrey Dahmer's situation was all about. But yeah, so anyway, that's that particular story. But let's look at this last little bit right here. I wanted to show you this page. Now, I'm not sure if some of you are aware of this woman's page. It's called An Open Secret, but she tweets about a lot of shady stuff going on, and I follow her on Twitter. So if you want to, you can follow her on Twitter too. She always has good information. But anyway, you can follow me on Twitter too. So Oregon serial rapist, pedophile to be released from prison as a low-level sex offender. Richard Gilmore, aka the jogger rapist, for staking out homes while running past, admitted to 9 rapes. He admitted to 9 rapes in all, but 1 statute of limitations expired. Convicted of rape of 13-year-old girl. This piece of shit is getting out. A low-level sex offender, but you raped 9 people, including a child. That's the part, that's that part right here. Oregon serial rapist Richard Gilmore. He's going to be released by the end of the year. And the state won't be required to notify the community. See, this is what I'm talking about. And this is in Oregon. No update if the psychological evaluation has been done of Gilmore since 2016. That year, the parole board deemed him dangerous to others, stemming from a mental or emotional disorder or disturbance, predisposing him to crime. Oh, wow. Ian Cole has locked his Twitter account. The Tampa Bay Lightning have suspended Ian Cole pending an investigation of these allegations of sexually abusing a minor. My statement on being groomed and sexually abused by Tampa Bay Lightning and in National Hockey League player Ian Cole. Now, this is the statement right here. I'm sorry that happened to you, Emily. He shut down his page, or he locked it. In related hockey news, the minor league affiliate, this is the same. Wait, earlier today we became aware that Bakersfield Condors head athletic trainer Chad Drown had been charged with very serious felony offenses related to contacting a minor to commit sexual offense in the state of California. We are shocked and dismayed by the news, and Mr. Drown has been relieved of his duties immediately. Edmonton, is this in Canada? NYU professor Robert Ginsburg, 59, taught for years with child porn conviction. Possessed videos of an 8-year-old Cambodian girl being raped and another video with a girl of 6 to 8 years old engaging in sexual contact with herself. What? NYU claimed to not know. Oh my God, he just looks like a fucking perv. He looks like a fucking perv. Oh my gosh, this guy. They always don't know, right? But they the ones that hired him. They hired him, but they don't know. Mm-mm. Oh yeah, I remember this guy. More disturbing revelations about the pro-pedophilia stance of Mermaid's trustee who resigned this week here. I may have missed it, but I'm surprised not to see more concerns being raised by the children's sector. It is such a serious safeguarding fail. Resigned trans youth charity trustee authored blog on minor attracted children. See, they're calling them minor attraction. Praise a child porn creator. Like, wow. The academic who recently resigned from a charity that promotes the medical transitioning of children had for years been writing blog entries related to pro-pedophilia activism and minor attraction. Jacob Breslow, an associate professor at the London School of Economics, stepped down from his position as a trustee for UK-based trans activist organization Mermaids earlier this year after it was revealed that he had on several occasions made statements and published academic work that favorably portrayed pedophilia. In 2011, Breslow, then a PhD student, spoke at a symposium titled Pedophilia, Minor Attracted Persons, and the DSM, Issues and Controversies. I remember this coming out. I don't know if this, I don't remember it coming out in 2011, but in the past year or two, I remember this swinging back around that he did this. Hosted by pedophile advocacy organization B4U Act, the stated purpose of the symposium was to lobby the American Psychiatric Association for changes to the diagnostic definition of pedophilia in order to reduce stigma against minor attracted people. MAPS is what they're calling them. Breslow's presentation was titled Sexual Alignment, Critiquing Sexual Orientation. The pedophile and the DSM. In the lecture, Breslow promotes the concept of treating pedophilia as a sexual orientation, a goal long advocated by the B4U Act. This guy, the B4U Act describes itself as an organization that works towards the collaborative effort between minor attracted people and mental health professionals, and has a history of lobbying medical authorities for changes in criteria which would declassify pedophilia as a disorder. Founded in 2009 by convicted child rapist Michael Meschheimer, B4U Act had apparently been approved by the founders of infamous pederast activist group, the North American Man-Boy Love Association, NAMBLA. After B4U Act's creation, Meschheimer had informed other pedophiles that his organization's approach would be focused around garnering public support for normalizing pedophilia by falsely claiming the intention was to prevent child sexual abuse. Oh my God. After their symposium, Breslow read from a paper in which he rejected the understanding of pedophilic attraction to children as being inherently harmful and supported the concept of pedophilia being classified as a sexual or political orientation. A sexual or political orientation. Now, there's all kinds of rumors that people use sexual blackmail in politics. That there's a longstanding rumor that there's sexual blackmail, sexual orientation blackmail, which means like you're gay, or you like underage people, or you like kinks that you shouldn't like. Just look at Andrew Gillum for writing. Like, he's been, they use that against him, or drugs, or, they use things to, position themselves ahead of you in the political climate, allegedly. Well, this happens. But allowing for a form of non-diagnosable minor attraction is exciting, as it is potentially creates a sexual political identity by which activists, scholars, and clinicians can begin to better understand minor attracted persons. Many tend to begin with the linkage of pedophile desires to harmful or abusive relationships and acts, and end up proliferating rather than questioning normative, gendered, and sexual intelligibility. At the organization's 2011 symposium, Breslow compared molesting a child to masturbating on a shoe, saying, just as the desire to and the act of, that word, on a shoe requires a rethinking of the shoe. This man is disturbed. I want to now argue that the desire to and the act of doing this on or possibly with a child requires a rethinking of both the child and of the person of whom the child is a sexual fantasy or part. Oh boy. This guy is a complete douchebag. Oh my God. It says Anderson came under widespread scrutiny in August after it was revealed he had written an academic article in which he admitted to masturbating to fantasy child sexual abuse material. Now get this. He said that his organization was to help child sexual abuse victims. But here it is, he admitted to masturbating to child sexual abuse material for 3 months as part of his research as a PhD student at the University of Manchester. Following media coverage of Anderson's paper, he was suspended by university administrators. Anderson's article, titled "Using Masturbation as an Ethnographic Method is in Research on Shada Subculture in Japan." Oh my God. What the hell? Much of Destroyer magazine's focus on teen boys committing acts of violence against girls and animals. Oh my God, from 2006 to 2010, Anderson was responsible for 2 unsettling visual media projects which focus on the sexualization of young boys, the aforementioned Destroyer, as well as Breaking Boy News. What the? This guy is sick. In my opinion, this guy is gone. How are you creating this and you're cool with this? And this is part of your dissertation, is what he's saying. And is he going to get his PhD to be a doctor? Because now, if he's going to get his PhD as a doctor, as a psychologist, he can now write articles, do peer reviews and do things like that, to where it can be a slant. This guy is a fucking nut job. I'm sorry, he just is. You know, this is the type of thing that we have to stay abreast on. Even though it's disgusting to read and disgusting to kind of dig into what this piece of shit is creating, we have to fight against it, because here's the thing. As much as we want to look away from this, they can't look away. The children that they victimize can't look away, because they have them under their thumb. So we get to look away because we're adults, but these children don't. So that means that we don't have an option to look away. We have to stay involved. As a matter of fact, we need to get these children out the way and put our foot on a neck of a piece of shit like this. I'm sorry, Saints, because, you know, this kind of thing really grinds my gears. Sexual abuse, it gets me going in a way that I can't fully control it, because what gives you the right as another human being to tell another human being what they should be doing with their body? You're not God, right? You're not God. But what gives you the right to say, hey, I'm going to use your body and make money with it? Or, hey, I'm going to use your body and do sexual acts with it. Or, hey, I'm going to use your body and do sexual sadist stuff with it. I don't care what you think. Like, who the fuck are you to do that? It just gets me going in a whole nother way. It pisses me the fuck off, and it makes me want to whoop somebody's ass. And these motherfuckers can sit in the academic realm and write bullshit like this, and we just supposed to sit there and take it just because this motherfucker needs to be taken out in the back of an alley and his ass needs to be whooped. And in my opinion, this motherfucker needs to be castrated and his hands need to be cut off. That to me would resolve the issue. But that's just me. And since this is America and you can't, you know, that kind of thing is frowned upon, we can't do that. We have to go through the professional route, which is to catch this motherfucker in the act of doing something to a child before anything can be done. And that's the part that pisses me off too. Because they can be free to talk about shit like this. Breaking boy news. Talking about he masturbated for 3 months as part of his dissertation. To come up with that, and don't trust me, that symposium was part of his dissertation. To get pedophilia off the DSM. This is what we have to fight against, to keep not only, you know what, we should try to ramp it up and have it more than just a disorder. It should be a crime to be it should be a crime to say that you're a pedophile. There should be a way that we should ramp it up. And since they're trying to take it down, we should be able to find a way that we can say, because these pedophiles usually harm, listen, these types of people only care about animals. So if we can tie this to, there has to be a way. There has to be a way that, because these people probably hurt and harm animals too. If they can hurt women, because, you know, they hate women. These pedophiles, some of these gay men, they hate women. Like Kanye West, like he has I believe he's dealing, in my opinion, just based off of the way he be moving. He's a sacrilegious man. He does not believe in Christ the way that he says he does. He only uses him as a veneer when he needs him to be a veneer. He says that I remember there was a video of him saying that he would be the modern day Christ or something like that. I don't know if I could find it, but Kanye West believes he's a god of sorts. He'll tell you he's not, but I believe that he thinks that he is. But at the end of the day, I just don't think this man is, I don't think he's a nice person. And I think that we should ramp it up. We should fight against, actively pursue a fight against pedophilia and sex trafficking and sexual oppression, because there's a twofold fight, right? You have women all over Instagram showing their bodies. I can't even scroll up I can barely go on Instagram. If I scroll up my Instagram, and these are regular people, all you see is a girl she'll show her face and then turn around and show her butt. Like what? Like how did it go? Like what? What are we talking about? I seen on Instagram a woman paid for an ad to twerk in her thong. Paid for an ad to do this, and the ad ran. I don't understand the soft porn angle that Instagram is going with, because I'm not sure if you can do that on Facebook, but it's not on my Facebook feed at all. I found myself going to Facebook, which is something I don't normally really do. But Instagram, it's disgusting. This is a commercial for sexual abuse. That it's okay to treat women any kind of way because, well, the only thing we care about is sex anyway, so you can use us for however you want. Now, they might not be saying that with their mouth, but their actions seem to align with that I'm just a sexual object, and you can really do, as long as you pay me some attention, you can do whatever it is that you want to do. And this is the message that predators pick up on. They think that's that you're really saying that, even though you can very well not be. But you can't just be going up online and showing your backside, your rear, your keister. And then, I mean, it's rampant. It's rampant. It's like, go on OnlyFans if you want to do. Why are you on a public platform doing this? It's disgusting. I don't want to see that. I don't. And I hate that this is the world that we're coming to. It's normal for you to just get up there and show your butt in the thong and start twerking, and you can see all the, oh my God. Look, I do think that you can dress in a way that's not showing your entire backside and still feel feminine, feel sexy, feel, like you're getting the job done, like you feel confident. But why do you have to take all your clothes off to feel confident about who you are as a woman? Like what does that, what does that say about you as a woman? The only time you're confident is when you take all your clothes off? So what does that mean? Pretty soon you're going to be going to work in your thong in a bikini. I'm talking about corporate jobs. If something isn't done, the women that do this, they don't care about the effects that it's having on the younger kids. Because there's already a large group of men that say that they can't tell whether this woman is a young woman or a child. They already say that. And so for you to get up there, you should be able to see that behind a wall. That way a paywall. That way they know this person's 18. This is not just a free for all underage sexual exploitation. That's what this is. So there's two angles. There's the predators that are doing it, and then there's the women who assist the predators, whether knowingly or unknowingly. This is a horrible problem. And it's like the Ouroboros, the snake eating his tail. It's a vicious cycle, and it's, our society is going to burn in hell if we don't stop it. If we don't do something to stop it. Women need to bring some couth back into femininity. Femininity has become a big fucking joke. Like all it is sex. All it is you turning over and just twerking your ass. Like, get the fuck out of here. You let a man define what our femininity is, and all they've defined it as is sexuality? Because they're only doing it for the male gaze. They're not doing this for women. You kidding me? No, most women are not twerking for women. Even if they're gay. They still want that man attention. It's a different type. Listen, feminine attention and masculine attention is two different things. Masculine attention holds more weight, even if you're a homosexual woman. Okay? Because it gives you the balance that you're looking for. It's not necessarily about the sex part. And so, if that's the goal, that's not how you obtain it. I get that's the goal. The attention, the masculine attention, there's nothing wrong with that. But taking off your clothes to get it implies the only way that you're willing to do anything to get that attention, including sell your soul. I'm sorry, went off on a tangent, but this pedophilia conversation goes deep because it's not just about women. It's not just about this pedophile. It's not just about women taking their clothes off. It's not just about the predators. It's not just about the government sometimes doing something about it and sometimes not. It's not just about women getting snatched up, so that even women that don't display themselves like this, because now the perception of woman is that, well, she'll do anything for sexual attention. So all you have to do is snatch her up, and eventually she'll conform, right? Eventually she'll conform because all these other women have done it publicly. So the rest of them that haven't done it yet, it's just only a matter of time. We just have to get them in line, right? It's all of those things combined. It's like a big, giant, fucked up octopus. And the head of it is evil. Its only real goal is your soul. Once you've decided that this is my fate is just to be a flat backing whore. Once you've decided that for yourself, that that's the only thing that your life is worth, or let's say you are a victim, a true victim of this. Once you've decided that, oh man, this is just how my life ended up, that's it for you. That is it. God wants you to know that that's how you end up in utter darkness. That's how you end up in straight hell, not just on this earth, but in this world, but in the next world. You have to understand that it's imperative that we have to change this. We have to pirate this ship, and we have to let these, demon time people, these people that are promoting demon time, men and women, that's what this is on. And they're trying to change the tide of femininity and masculinity, because true masculinity protects, it provides, it corrects, it directs, it protects. It doesn't do any of the things that you see is happening right now. I know, because I was raised by my dad. I know what real masculinity feels like to a woman. And I feel like that's what the world wants, and that's what it needs, like real wholesome people. There's way more good people than there are representing us on these social media sites. But these are the ones that get, replayed because, people like them. And so, that's what gets pushed in the forefront. So us people that have been in the back or in the shadows, or our voices haven't been as loud as it should be, we are going to have to push forward more than we have been, a whole lot more, because if we don't, they're going to win. And when I say win, Sodom and Gomorrah, they were walking around the streets naked, raping people. Let that sink in. They were walking around naked, raping people, even children. That's what it came to at the end. There was nobody that stepped in that was loud enough, that was bold enough, that was influential enough to say, hey, we can't keep doing this. Something is going to have to go. Something has got to give. We're not all sexual deviants. Sex is a part of life. It's not the only thing in life. I'm trying not to preach, but that's just what's coming out of me. That is just what's coming out. Okay. Well, that's been the end of this podcast. I think that I've said enough. If you want to, I actually have a website. You can come and check it out. It is EileenNicole.com. I have a free how-to guide on achieving a successful mindset on there. I'll leave the link in the description. You can go ahead and check that out. It won't be free for long, but it is a how-to guide that I came up with, and I think it's pretty good. It goes over a few different things. So just check that out. Just pop your email into the information, and then once you get the email, you'll go ahead and finish the book, finish the guide, and then when you're on your way to avoiding some of those negative habits that put us into these types of situations right here, and the ones that the curveballs that come with life. But anyway, thank you guys for listening. I do appreciate it. I love you, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.